Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel, Drawing with Michael. Today we're going to do a really short exercise of me drawing a greeting card. Many times during the year there are different holidays that I'll do this for, Christmas, birthdays, Valentine's Day, whatever it is. But this one, particular one, is for anniversary. So tomorrow's my anniversary, and I'm doing the anniversary card for my wife. It's 22 years, so enjoy the process. Okay, so I am drawing a gnome because my wife loves gnomes. I like gnomes too, they're fun. So today, instead of using my regular carmine red color pencil, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, gosh, I never use this. Why am I using this? Excuse me, maybe I'll use this instead. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah. The paper. What am I doing for the paper? I use watercolor paper for this because it's got a nice tooth and also the weight's really heavy. It's really good. I like it. Canson. And I basically fold it in half, and depending on the format, we're in horizontal format right now. So I taped it up here because I want to make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to map this out really quick. If that makes sense. Mapping it out. So, for those of you who are married, you know that there are times in your illustrious marriage career that you basically have to make sure that you do certain things. You know, my wife is she's very low maintenance. Okay, that's really, that's saying something. Because a lot of people and a lot of women that I know, typically, they'll put a lot of emphasis on things like this. That's not really a proper thing to say, women. That's not really a good thing to say. What I'm trying to say is, as a person, a husband, I want to make sure and notice certain times that are important, certain, times in your life, certain things that you've done together, especially if you made the commitment for marriage. Marriage isn't for everybody. And being married doesn't make you any better than anyone else. It just means that you've made a commitment to a person. And, what I've noticed, the older I get, the things that I really appreciate about my wife are the fact that she's a wonderful mother. By the way, she doesn't watch my videos, so I'm not doing this as a kiss up. She's a wonderful mother. One of the things that I really, knew, and a lot of times people ask me, well, when did you know that your wife, you wanted to be with your wife for the rest of your life? Because, I wanted to be married to a person that, first of all, wanted to be with me, not for the amounts of money that I make. I don't make any money. I make some money. I make enough to support us and my family. But what she did early on, and this is something that, if you have this, you'll understand when I say it. she supported me in my decisions. You know, whenever she found out that I wanted to be an artist, you know, a lot of times if you say, you know, I want to be an artist to, you know, your significant other, whoever it is, then that person, you know, might say, gosh, you know, that could be a lifetime of, you know, X, Y, and Z, you know, hard times or whatever. But not her. She said, as long as, you know, you can support the family and do your part as, you know, a parent, if and when we have children, then yeah, absolutely. And that was a big deal to me, you know, because I had been with, you know, some companions and some girls that, you know, you told them what they did, what you do, or what you want to do, and they were just like, oh, okay. They didn't quite know how to handle that. And, you know, my wife, back then my girlfriend, she was like, yeah. And then, you know, as we had our ups and downs, she always would have a good thing to say to help encourage whenever I got down, whenever I, you know, if I had a bad day or if I had something happen like that. She was always there to uplift, not to tear down. And that was important. And it still is. You know, she still does that. You know, she still does that. Even to this day. Which, you know, is pretty freaking awesome to me. You know. So right now what I'm doing is I'm using my pencil, and you can see that it's making a mess on the tooth paper. And even drawing on this tooth paper is kind of challenging, but trust me, it's worth it. Because whenever I go in and I ink it, it'll give that nice quality to the drawing that really adds to the greeting card. Why gnomes? Well, my wife loves gnomes, and she's loved them for a long time. And I love my wife. That's why. I've drawn a lot of gnomes, but I'm not a gnome aficionado expert. You know, I don't consider myself to be a gnomie, right? We do have many gnomes around the house. Some foliage because he's sitting on a rock. I'm gonna have this come back around. Need to find this boot a little bit better since it's coming towards me. Have this arm come up. Down. His beard comes over here. Got that arm coming up. Marriage. What makes a marriage work? Well, it's going to be different for everybody, and whatever combination, whatever stresses you're under. For some people, it's extreme sports. I'm just kidding. You know, it just depends. It depends on who you married, you know. Whether or not you have kids, which I do. Okay. This is a bunny rabbit. Sitting on. You know, one of the things that I learned early on was selfishness in a marriage. Selfishness is something that is like a cancer. Being selfish, looking out. Now, here's the deal. As a you know, a male, my first instinct is to protect, and it's a typical stereotype, is to protect and provide. And, you know, some women don't like that. My wife is a very strong female, and she likes aspects of that machismo type situation. But the reality is she's strong, and she really doesn't need any guys to tell her anything. You know? I intentionally married a strong woman because I wanted a woman to have an opinion in my marriage, because I wanted it to be a team effort. And so far, we've done pretty good. You know, when I'm down, she's up. When she's up, I'm you know, if I'm down, so on and so forth. We support each other. You know? But marriage is definitely not for everybody. Not for everybody. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm putting in some of the details. Trying to fix some of my anatomy because I've messed up quite a bit here. I don't want to go too far with the pencils, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of them. You know? I want to get rid of the pencils. I don't like that. Don't like the dots. So we'll do a striped hat. What makes a successful marriage? A lot of things. I think the realization too is after you've been married for a while, you realize that love it's a big part of the marriage, because obviously you need it. But the reality is love is always going to be a choice. You know? Love is a choice, you guys. All that passion is nice, but eventually it gets replaced with other things, and you have to continually stir that passion up. You know? Take care of yourself. That's another one. Right? You know, don't expect your mate to find you attractive if you've not taken care of yourself. Okay, so here. Okay. So that's just a really, really rough representation of what I want to do. Obviously, it's a gnome laying on a rock in a pin-up, sexy kind of pose. Why do I do these things? So now what I'm doing, I'm just going back. I'm redefining some of those lines, right? In the areas that I need to define them in. Okay. Like this boot. Because I don't want to go in and start rendering because I need to put my black line down. Okay. 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. So now what I do, I take my plastic eraser and I put it on its side and I start going over the entire thing. This is going to lighten the line work, but not get rid of it. And you see, just by sheer nature of graphite is, depending on the hardness of your pencil, and I used a pretty soft one. Okay. It gets everywhere. Okay. Good. Okay. Now I go to my pins. My pins. Move my iPad out of the way. I was using it earlier this morning for a project. Okay. This one's pretty good. I've been using, what have I been using? Blue. There he is. I've been using this guy right here. He's a great pin. Okay. Haha. Wonderful. Okay. So now I just start going back. And inking it. I'm not a, how do I put it? Some people are really good at inking. I am not. I am a pencil guy. I'm a rough sketch kind of guy. I've realized that about myself. And I'm trying to get better. I'm not there yet. Right? The thing is I like lines and I love form. And for a while, I was a very painterly illustrator, you know? I would do very painterly, illustrative, you know, do animals, and a lot of the pieces I did when I was at the firm in Orlando, you know, a lot of those had a painterly quality to them. But, you know, let's go ahead and have that come around there like that. But I don't look forward to the inking stage. And obviously it's something that I have to work on, among other things in my art repertoire. You know, I haven't quite landed. I've done a lot of pieces. I've done a lot of stuff for big corporations, you know, work for the big boys and whatnot. And there's value, I think, in that. But, whoa. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But the amount of wind that's happening outside is massive. We've had a lot of rain up here in Georgia. That's where I live. I live in the mountains. The very tip top of Georgia. About 5 miles from the Carolina border. So I can go to North Carolina all the time if I want to. Where I ride my bike actually is in North Carolina. He's turning out pretty okay. Oh, if anybody else has one of these ergonomic chairs where you don't have a back on it and you sit kind of like you're kneeling, there's benefits to it, but man, sometimes it makes my butt go to sleep. Okay. Let's speed this process up a little bit. Still got work to do today. You know, I've been working on a huge project for, ooh, man, that was close. I almost said who I was working for. That would be bad. You know, recently I posted some stuff to social media, not social media. I posted stuff to a portfolio website, ArtStation, and the people that I do stuff for caught wind of it. And even though it was in the marketplace, even though it was in market and being sold and already, you know, sold and anybody could purchase it and post it on social media and say whatever they want to say about it, I still am not allowed to say that I did it. And you know, at first I was like, you know what? Why? What's the big deal? But you know what? That's part of the rules. So I had to take a bunch of stuff down, even though it was already produced in the market. And, you know, I had an attitude about it at first, but the more and more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? That's fine. They have every right to say it's their intellectual property. And besides, when you sign an NDA, if it says you can't post anything, you know, even I did ask permission, and at one point, you know, they had indicated that's fine. But, you know, rules change and you have to roll with it. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. At first, I was kind of like, are you joking me? Come on. But you know what? It's fine. That's why I do stuff like this. Besides, those characters aren't my characters anyway. Even though, you know, I might have drawn them, even though I might have created them from scratch, the base intellectual property, if it's got their character recognized as their character, they own it. You know? Especially if it goes on social media, because whether people realize it or not, once it goes on social media, you're using it for advertising purposes, to advertise you as an artist or illustrator. And frankly, those people that do fan art all the time, which I do, I've done fan art. Sometimes I look at that and I question, how did you get the licensing rights to do that? But it's a big world. And if people aren't watching, then you'll never get caught. Unfortunately, for me, I got caught. And I had to take stuff down. And I'm perfectly fine with it. You know, at least they didn't send me a letter saying they're going to sue my drawers off. You know, you don't want that. You certainly don't want that. Okay. Well, I think what I'll do for this boy, this good-looking boy. Got some fur in here. I'm going to go ahead and flesh out the rest of this drawing for you guys. And then I've got to ink it. No, I've got to color it. Jeez. I've got to color it in. Maybe I'll put hearts all over his pants. I mean, I know in the realm of licensing, there is something called parody. And there are parody laws, which you can get away with a lot of stuff when it comes to parody. You know? But it has to be a parody. And it's like, who determines that? You know? It's like if you were to take a fully rendered, let's say Mickey Mouse, and you show him doing nefarious things, then is that considered parody? Or is that just considered, you know, something else? I don't know. What do I know? You know what I know? I know I can't post anything from that particular client anymore. And that's fine. I'll just post all the rest of my stuff. Right? Alrighty. So we're going to put you guys on the time lapse. As I wrap this up, I'm going to get some variation of line weight in here. There's another pen in here that I love. Where did it go? No, that's not it. I got a whole collection of pens that I like a lot. Is that it? No. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on time lapse and let you watch me go ahead. I'm going to take my eraser. I'm going to get rid of the majority of the graphite lines, and then I'm going to come back and put some color in there. So, see you in a minute.
Yeah!
Oh! Yeah! Thank you guys, liking and subscribing. Share if you like what you see. More videos to come. Please.
come back. Bye.